Hiya, loves. Welcome back to the Gaily Digest. It is June, and you know what that means, don't you, Josh?
I'm tired.
You're always tired. But yes, it is Pride Month. So, kicking off this Pride Month special, I am Nigel.
And I am a tired Joshua.
You're always bloody tired.
So
But
it's a
yes,
talent.
it is a talent, and you are the master of it. Anyway, so we have got a Pride packed show for you today. So we've got some Pride related news. We have some more conversation about Pride. So talking about what Pride means. More complaints in the complaints closet with Josh being a moany old bitch. And I think that's pretty much everything, isn't it? So without further ado, let's crack on with the show. Let's kick off this episode with some Pride related news. Now, something that's made the news quite prominently recently around Pride is Durham Pride. Now, Josh, what can you tell us about what happened with Durham Pride? You're looking at me as if say, "Oh fuck."
It's because what people don't know is you don't tell me what we're going to discuss most of the time. And then you just ask me questions about things when I've had no notice.
I love doing that because it's
And I
it's
don't live in Durham. I don't live anywhere near Durham. And I'm supposed to know all these things. But I'm going to guess, based on what's happening all over the place, including in my area, that the council pulled all the funding for it and it was going to be cancelled, and then it got saved by the unions, I believe.
that's it. That's exactly it. So
There
yeah,
you go.
so Durham Pride faced the chance of not going ahead because Durham Council pulled the funding. They pulled the funding, and it was a certain political party that pulled the funding that hate minorities. And as a result, the trade unions stepped in, uh, donated a lot of money, raised a lot of money, and in fact made more money than they would have got from the council. And ultimately had a bigger, more vibrant, better, colourful Pride this year. So why do we think why is it that the councils are pulling the funding?
Well, it's clearly homophobia, isn't it?
Hmm.
Anti-LGBT plus, um, because they don't seem to. They use the thing of to try and save money, and they don't want taxpayers' money to go onto these things because they're sort of indoctrinating children apparently and turning everybody gay. Um, it's just anti-LGBT plus rhetoric and things, isn't it? There's no logic to it,
Hmm.
to be honest. There's no
But
like the grants they give for an event of the sizes of these prides. The grants are not that big.
it's a drop in the ocean when you think about it. When you actually break it down, it's probably only a couple of quid per taxpayer, if that.
And like we
When you
said
when
last
when you break
time,
it down.
and like we said last time, they don't seem to have the brain skills to think that the amount of money it brings into local businesses, because people don't just come from the local area, they come from all over.
Hmm.
They don't just go to the Pride area and only buy things there. They'll wander off afterwards, or before they get there, they'll go and have a coffee, or you know what I mean? If you've never been there before and you're there for the day,
Hmm.
you'll have a wander around the town or whatever, have a look and have a drink and things like that. And you might go out for something to eat at night. If you
Hmm.
stay in there, you might book a hotel. So there's all that business that you would lose.
And the other thing you're forgetting is about the means in which they travel there. So a lot of the time they'll use public transport. So they use the trains, the buses, taxis, things like that. So there's a lot of additional revenue that goes in for all these companies that that overall helps the economy. It
And
helps to keep these companies thriving.
they do seem to forget as well that LGBT plus people actually pay taxes.
Mm. Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's not just your taxes of the straight people. LGBT plus people also pay taxes. So you
Mm.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we like we contribute to like schools and stuff. If you don't have kids, does that mean that we shouldn't fund our taxes shouldn't go to schools? You know what I mean? This is
Mm.
this is the logic of them.
But I
Like,
don't think logically, do they? And
I
I think
know.
there's a sense of irony. There's a sense of irony in this, that the person that pulled the funding, or the instructed the funding to be pulled, was Darren Grimes, who is gay himself.
I think, to be honest, I would say he's one of the biggest traitors to the community that we've got in the
Mm,
UK. He's just a vile person.
mm,
And to be fair, I'm actually quite glad that the union stepped in and they made more money than what the council would have ever given them, because it's
mm.
basically a big fuck you to Darren Grimes and a middle finger saying, don't
Yeah,
need you.
yeah. But I did notice that Reform UK did put a post out, basically trying to suggest that it was a win-win situation for them rather than for Durham Pride, because I think they realised that there was a lot more positive stuff from on social media, and feedback around the fact that the trade unions had saved Pride than there was for Reform cancelling the funding. And I think all they cancelled, the only funding they cancelled, about £2,500,
So
which,
that's
as I say,
nothing.
is which on the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's a lot of money to some people. Don't get me wrong, but on the grand scheme of things, break that down per taxpayer in that constituency, and it probably equates to £1 or £2 per person, if that. And that
And
is literally it.
if you added up
And
the taxes of the people that visited the Pride,
mm,
I bet it's way more.
yeah, and not only that, the thing that really bothers me about it, that they use the excuse of it's about saving money. Okay, Nottinghamshire County Council, £75,000 on flags. Flags.
Yeah, remember the
Think about
businesses,
that.
the sponsored
Think
businesses were going
about
to
that.
pay for that, Nigel.
Think about that. £75,000 on flags, union flags. Warwickshire County Council, £150,000 on creating 3 advisory roles. Advisors, £150,000 a year on advisors that they didn't need beforehand.
Well, it's because they elected a 19-year-old who's never had a job and doesn't know what he's doing.
And because they've got a lot of inexperience, because they don't know what they're doing. But this is the thing, when you look at all this money that is actually being wasted on these things that aren't needed, that aren't necessary for the community, then it is baffling. It's absolutely baffling.
Well, you just have to look at the by-elections, don't you? Because apparently each by-election costs about £30,000 to £40,000.
Mm.
Now, how many
And
reform councillors and things have been either sacked, resigned, or just quit?
I think there was at least 16
Now, you add that up.
since the elections in May. I think there was about 16 at least. There may have been
Now,
more since then.
now you add up how much taxpayer money has been wasted on that.
Mm.
But that doesn't matter to them, apparently. It's just,
No.
it's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's
So
just hatred. There's no logic to it. It's just hatred.
So when you break it down, you boil it down, it's not about saving money, even though they say it is. It's not about saving money. It is about the wanting to scrap DEI. They don't like diversity. They think it's a bad thing for society, when actually diversity, equality, and inclusion brings more people together than it does divide people. As soon as you start having divisive politics, that's when you lose everything.
People ask me, why on earth do you need a Pride Month? Do you really need LGBT History Month? What's the point of Pride marches and Pride flags? Hasn't the world changed? Haven't you already got same-sex marriage and adoption, gays in the police and the military, and laws that protect people from discrimination on the grounds of their sexual orientation or gender reassignment? What more do you want? That's what I hear all the time, even from really well-meaning liberal souls. But we've always needed pride. We needed it when people lazily assumed that a short haircut meant you were a lesbian, or a lisp meant you were gay. We needed it when people laughed at Larry Grayson and John Inman, but forced them to hide their sexuality. We needed it when people said we should be harassed, arrested, and locked up for loving who we wanted. We needed it when the police wore rubber gloves to arrest us, just in case we gave them AIDS. We needed it when we were called queer and and arse bandit at school. We needed it when we were sneered at, spat at, punched, kicked and beaten up. And we need it now, when kids are still bullied because they're camp or butch, when families still throw their LGBT children out of the home, when many are so worn down by abuse that they take their own lives, when so many are so terrified of coming out that they live lives of terrible, crushing loneliness, when people are abused for wanting to transition, when our cousins in Hungary are denied the right to demonstrate, when the state police in many countries deliberately entrap homosexuals, when trans people are treated as less than human, when homosexuality is still illegal in 63 countries, including 38 that apply those rules to women, and including more than half of the Commonwealth. Yes, we still need pride.
So what you've just listened to there is Chris Bryant, MP, who is an MP who happens to be gay, telling us all what it means for us to have pride, why we need pride, why we've always needed pride, why we still need pride, and why we have pride. Now, we've talked about pride before in previous episodes, and we can never reiterate enough and talk about what pride means to us and what it means to everyone. We've had guests on the show that have explained to us about their experiences of pride, what pride means to them, and it's never not important. Pride. As we know, pride always started as a protest. It remains a protest at its core, but it's also a celebration. It's a celebration of how far we've come, recognising the efforts and the achievements, the struggles, the battles, the fights that we've had to reach where we are today. So we have pride because there are people out there that are still struggling. We have pride because it's never been illegal to be straight, but it's been illegal to be gay. We have pride because it's never been illegal for straight people to get married, but it has been illegal for gay people to get married. We have pride because, thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
I heard that breaking my flow there. So we have pride because there are people that are worried about coming out because of the fear of the reaction they're going to get from their friends and their family. We have pride because people still get thrown out of their homes. Young gay men, young gay women, young trans boys or girls get thrown out of their homes because they have dared to be strong enough and come out and be their true authentic selves. We have pride because people still think it's better to take their own lives rather than face the discrimination that they have out there, that we still see. We have pride because we see on social media, which any LGBTQ plus related post is just full of homophobia, full of hate, full of jokes at our expense. So Josh, why else do you think we have pride? Why do we need pride?
Well, I think pride is also about looking at how far we've come and celebrating the gains that we have made, but also protesting to make sure that we don't lose those things that we've gained, because that is what's happening right now. But I also think it's really important for young LGBT plus people who are just starting to learn about themselves or are questioning themselves, because they can see older people being themselves, and you know what I mean, and seeing it as it's okay to be that way. That's just how you are. And it gives them a safe space to step out of a very heteronormative world and see the other side of just being your true self, just enjoying yourself. And everybody just does their own thing at Pride. Everybody's loving, and everybody's just lets you just be who you are. It doesn't matter who you are there. They accept you, which you don't really get that on the outside, or especially if they come from families that aren't accepting.
Mm.
That might be the only place where you can be yourself.
Yeah.
So I think it's not only about looking at the past and how far we've come and fighting to keep those things. It's also a protest to keep moving forward because we have work to do still, and letting younger people see that they can just be themselves, and that's okay to be that way.
Mm. I mean, I'll give you some. I'll give you some examples of ignorance around what it means to be gay, and the coming out process and stuff like that. So, I once had someone ask me, and these are genuine things people have asked me. I once had someone ask me, "When did you choose to be gay?" So I came back without skipping a beat. I just came back with, "When did you choose to be straight?" And he went, "Well, I've always been straight." Well, there you go. I've always been gay. I didn't choose it. That's who I am. I've had someone ask me when I came out as gay. I said, "When did you come out as straight?" It just sort of highlights that level of ignorance from people, that they think that being gay is a choice. They think it's something you can change, something you can control. Well, no, you can't. I mean, in what society do we think it's acceptable for people to legislate against loving someone? I mean, and this sort of goes around to the ignorance again, as to why we have pride, and why I mentioned about it being illegal to be gay. Now, imagine if it had ever been illegal to be straight, to have heteronormative relationships. Imagine the uproar at that. People would hate it. They'd say that's wrong. There'd be protests, there'd be marches. Well, that's why we have pride, because we've had that, we've lived through that, we've experienced that. I lived through Section 28. Section 28 being the banning of promotion of LGBTQ plus materials, books, education. It prevented us from having things around to help us when we're going through those stages of realizing our identity, realizing who we are. I mean, I saw something only today that Essex County Council are instructing libraries, or banning libraries, from having any LGBTQ plus positive material, books, anything like that. They're banning.
See, I think when
books.
when it comes to book banning, that's when we're definitely heading into fascist territory.
But banning LGBTQ plus books. Why? Why are we going down that route?
They presume that it's just basically all porn, don't they?
But it's
They've not
it's
actually
not,
looked
is
at the
it?
books. I know.
No.
Sometimes it's like a book and it just happens to mention that someone has two dads or two mums, and that's okay. And that's literally the only page that it mentions.
Yeah.
But apparently that's far too graphic.
But we're getting to a stage, or we're starting to go down that dark path of history repeating itself again. Where we're being suppressed, we're being silenced, we're being pushed to one side because they don't think that we have the right to be so open about ourselves. And this, I mean, this was a newspaper article that I saw today on social media, and a lot of people, the majority of people, were condemning that decision, especially as they've made that decision at the beginning of Pride Month.
It's intentional, isn't it?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And there are some people saying things like, "Good. Why is it good?" Well, because I don't agree with it. Why don't you agree with it? And they can't answer you.
Ask them what the books are as well. What's the books about then? I don't know. I've not seen them. So how can you agree to ban them then?
Exactly. But like you say, we're entering fascism territory, because we are getting to a stage where were being suppressed. It's not just the LGBTQ plus community. It's anyone that's impacted by the Equality Act, because they want to get rid of DEI. They want to get rid of the Equality Act.
Well, just look
And
around the world at the minute as well, and the comments of the reform leaders, like Nigel Farage has basically said that pregnant women are worth less than a man. Comments like that, you know what I mean?
it's disgraceful.
That is fascism, and I don't understand why people want that. Why do you want that? It's just.
But the thing is,
why would you want to go back on all the hard work?
But the thing is, there's even women that are supporting those kinds of comments and those views, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's like, for example, it's like Darren Grimes wanting to cut funding for Pride. You know, it's cutting your nose off to spite your own face, and it's really bizarre.
I think what it is it's very similar to how some religion, like the extreme religious, like evangelicals work. They spread fear and they scare you. And when you're scared, it will blind you from a lot of things around you, and you'll focus on the solution. So if they say the immigrants are coming, they're going to take all your children or whatever, or take all your jobs and all this stuff, that puts fear in these people. And then rather than look at them taking away your rights, they're like, we're going to do this because it's going to get rid of them. But it's actually also going to strip you of all of your rights, but you don't pay attention to that because you're so scared that you're focused on that one solution. And I think that's what the far right does really well. They scare certain groups of people and they brainwash them and fearmonger them so much that it completely blinds them to vote against their own. You know what I mean? They're voting against themselves. They're voting away their own rights. They're voting away their own protections just because they're scared, and they think it's going to target only this specific group of people and not you.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and the thing that often frustrates me. You know, I mean, LGBTQ plus folk, that we get verbally abused online, in person, in the street, whatever. We get physically attacked for being who we are, and that is completely wrong, and I just don't get it. Now imagine if it was turned around the other way and people were attacked solely because they were straight. You know, people don't choose to be lesbian, they don't choose to be gay, they don't choose to be bisexual, they don't choose to be transgender. They are. And, you know, our rights are constantly under threat. They're still under threat, and they continue to be under threat because we are, you know, we are facing a point where history is repeating itself, and that is another reason why Pride is continuing to be so important. I mean, trans rights are constantly under attack. I mean, look at the Supreme Court ruling, and you know, the government guidance around trans people using toilets. They just want to go for a piss. You know, they don't want to go and be predatory. I mean, if anything, these guidelines have probably made it more easier for predatory cis men to go into the women's toilets and claim that they're trans men. It's just baffling.
Well, we're not focusing on like making healthcare more accessible or making food cheaper and the electric and water and stuff. We're not making all that easier to survive and just live life. We're just going to waste time attacking minorities because apparently that's what we should be focusing on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd obviously like to stress, you know, this isn't a them and us argument. It's not about them and us, because, you know, we highlight these things and highlight how the heterosexual community have had things so much easier than we have, because, you know, I think it comes to a point where they've never had to think about fighting for their rights to exist and just be free from discrimination. They've never had to fight for equality. they've always taken their rights for granted, and they've always had those fundamental rights. They've always had the right to be free from discrimination, the right to marry, not get abuse left, right, and centre. So that's why I stress it's not a them and us argument. We say these things because I think we want to highlight how easy it's been for people who are heterosexual. They have had it easy, and I'm not saying their lives have been easy, because everybody's different, everybody has their own experiences, but from a general point of view, it's like when we get the arguments of or people that do the the whataboutery of when straight pride month, when straight pride, when straight month. Well, if you think you need it, organise one. Yeah, if you think you need it, organise one. But if the answer to any of the following questions is no, then you probably don't need one. Has it ever been illegal to be straight? Has it ever been illegal for straight people to marry? Have straight people been thrown out of their homes because they've dared to come out as straight? No. I don't think that's ever happened. Have straight people been beaten up in the street for being straight? No, I don't think that's happened either. I mean, if people want to send me some examples and prove me wrong, then fine. But that's why we have pride. That's why we need pride. Because those kinds of things have happened to us. There are still over 60 countries in the world that criminalise homosexuality. They punish homosexuality, or some of these countries punish homosexuality with the death penalty. What country has it ever been has ever seen straight people get convicted and sentenced to death for being straight? Tell me a country. Show me a country where that has happened ever in the whole history of the planet. It's never happened. That's why we need pride. That's why we continue to have pride, because these things still happen. We still get beaten up. We still get attacked. We still get verbally abused. It's not going to stop until we get true equality. And education is put out there to educate people about LGBTQ plus people. Get rid of, dispel the myths, get rid of those tropes, those harmful tropes that people lazily assume that, we are predators or anything like that. We're not. We're really not. Granted, there are some that are within the community, much like there is in straight communities. It happens. But that's about it, really. So that's why we have pride, and we continue to need pride. It's now time for Josh to be a proud, moany old bitch. It's the Complaints Closet. Hi.
Hi.
What are you complaining about this week, Josh? Entertain us.
Well, I'm going to pick something that's on topic for this time.
Oh, I hope it's not the same as mine, because I've got something on topic as well.
It probably will be now you've said that. I'm going to complain about these idiots that keep taking the knee. Is it the same as yours?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, it's in the news at the minute, there was a tragic murder last year, and most of the information's come out now. And because this time it happened to be somebody who is white who was killed by someone who wasn't white, all the gammon have jumped on this because they've politicised it. They've dove straight on it like no tomorrow, and now they're all taking the knee and taking pictures or videos. Now, every single video I've seen of them doing this, all of them cannot get back up again.
Well, not with our help. I've seen some of them as well.
Even the ones that don't look that old, although they all look rough anyway, but even the ones that don't look like elderly, they cannot get up properly. They struggle. These are the warriors that are going to defend this country, apparently. They can't even get up from kneeling down. Or they'll do a post of it and they're really smiling, even though it's meant to be like a, you know what I mean, like a somber.
It's meant to be something serious, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're smile, full on smiling, teeth out, because that's what you do. Like, you know what I mean? And pretty much every post I've seen as well, all of them have got his name wrong. We've got like Harry and whatever, they get his last name wrong.
Norbert, Howick.
Norfolk or whatever. I'm like, who are these people that you're kneeling for? You can't even get his name right.
It's just...
And it's just so they're like, remember his name. I'm like, well, you can't.
It baffles me. I mean, obviously the circumstances of what happened, they were very tragic. He shouldn't have died. He shouldn't have been a victim of murder. But yeah, these people that they're using it, aren't they, to because of the George Floyd murder. So they're likening it and saying, well, his life mattered enough that everybody took the knee, so we should take the knee for Henry Novak. But the thing that gets me about it, I mean, they're showing marks of signs of respect for him, and I get that. I totally get that. But pick something that do something that is considerate and relevant to it. Now, people took the knee for George Floyd because of the way in which he died, because of the police officer in America that had his knee on his neck. That meant he couldn't breathe. It was restricting his breathing. That didn't happen this time. There were other issues at play with what happened, and I think even from what I can remember, the pathologist said that even if he had been given first aid, he wouldn't have survived. He still wouldn't have survived because of the nature of the injury itself. But if you're going to do something as a mark of respect, make it relevant.
Like wear a ribbon or, I don't know, just do something else, because it doesn't make sense. And plus, these are the same people that were kicking off when people were taking the knee for George Floyd.
Mm. So I think it's more disrespectful, isn't it, rather than being
Farage dove straight on it, and all the other right wingers in Reform saying white lives matter too. Who said they didn't?
Exactly.
They're just diving onto it, and I'm sick of these people that like virtue signal and just dive onto these murders. But if it was the other way around, I can guarantee you they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't say anything. And it's like when Farage did his little speech thing about rage and all this crap. They instantly then go out, all these thugs, and start smashing up the place where it happened and like rioting and throwing bins at the police. And I'm like, in what way does that help? Or how does that like respect his memory? You've just turned turned his memory into violence.
And it was against the express wishes of the family as well.
Yeah, this is what annoys me, and that's my complaint. I'm just sick of the far right who dive on things, or anyone in general that dives on tragedies and politicizes them, and then uses them as an excuse to go out, get pissed, and start smashing stuff up and attacking the police and stuff. I just don't
That's the
get
thing.
it.
It's disrespectful to the memory of the victim.
Although apparently one of the people that was arrested during those riots was didn't even come into the courtroom when he was arrested because he was crying. So that's a bit of joy. I wish they'd recorded it.
Diddums. Sadistic bastard.
It should be live on television. See how hard they are now.
But this is the thing. It's they bleat on about two-tier policing, but it's actually two-tier outrage.
Yeah, because as I said, if it was the other way around and it was a white person that had killed the Sikh person, they wouldn't be doing anything. There wouldn't be riots. There wouldn't be. He wouldn't be doing a 10 a.m. speech, Farage, like he's the Prime Minister.
It was 8 a.m.
Oh, 8
Got up really
a.m.
early
Okay.
for that.
Like, who's he think he is? Like, honestly, like he thinks he's like God or something, and then like he wouldn't be doing any of that if it was someone of color that died.
Mm.
Like, did he do this when that was it a Sikh woman that was like really badly attacked and raped by a group of white men?
No,
Like,
he didn't, did he?
No, he didn't do an 8 a.m. speech. Did they have riots? No. Did they take the knee or do anything like that? No.
No.
It's just hypocrisy, and I'm sick of them.
That's what I mean. Two-tier outrage. Anyway.
Yeah, that's my complaint.
So my complaint this week is sort of on topic. Well, it is on topic. My complaint is people who scapegoat minorities and blame them for things that are wrong with society when it's actually not their fault. And what I mean by that is I am sick of hearing people. It's like on a lot of pride posts that I'm seeing on social media, there's a lot of people attacking the LGBT community. More specifically, they're attacking trans people, saying that it's the trans people or the TQ plus that's the problem. That's why people have turned against pride, turned against the gay community, and hate us all. When it's not. They're just wanting to live their lives. They're just wanting to exist without fear of persecution. They just want to go and use a bloody toilet, and it really pisses me off. I mean, it's like, what was it? There was a while back now. There was, I think there was a conversation I was having with someone about the NHS, and this was from a nurse, right? In the NHS, this was from a nurse. It's the immigrants. What? Excuse me? What's the immigrants? What's why are they suddenly the problem? Why are they at fault? And it's all the immigrants coming in that's why the NHS is on its knees. No, it's not. It's because people go to the hospital, go to A&E for things like a stubbed toe. It's utterly ridiculous. If people didn't go to A&E for silly little things that they don't need to go to A&E for and waste and take up valuable time of nurses, healthcare assistants, consultants, and the like, then the NHS wouldn't be as bad as it is. Go for genuine accidents and emergencies. Don't go for silly little things, and then don't start blaming minority groups like immigrants or anyone like that for the problems within the NHS. Because the NHS, I mean, we obviously know people who work within the NHS, and we know how bloody hard they work. And the strain that they are under constantly, and everything they're having to deal with, they deserve the support and and the kindness that goes with it. But I'm just sick of seeing people blaming minorities for problems in society. If you want to blame people, blame successive governments for the way society is, the economy and stuff like that. It's a lot of a bigger picture. It's not just all these little groups of people that are to blame for what's wrong with society at the moment. You've got regimes in other countries that are discriminating against groups of people. They are they're starting wars and this, that, and the other. They're murdering people, they're killing people. But no, problem with society is it's the immigrants, it's the gay people, it's the trans people. What?
I have actually heard old people in my doctor's surgery say, oh, the reason that they couldn't get an appointment, and they were like, oh, it's because these bloody immigrants. And I'm sat here thinking, we live, like I do, in the middle of the countryside. It is probably one of the whitest places you can be.
Mm.
Everybody in this waiting room is white.
Mm.
When you go out to the town, pretty much 99.9% of everybody in that town is going to be white. Please explain to me then how you can say it's the immigrants that you can't get a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, exactly.
And over 20, I'm pretty sure over 20% of the NHS workforce is people who are non-British. So if you just got rid of them, the world would, like, literally the country would fall, as we've said before, because they're some of the most hardest working people that we have.
Yeah.
And
this is the thing, isn't it? You know, that they are, and they work bloody hard, and they provide for us and support us and care for us, look after us. And you know, you've got people who were born in the UK that are white British people that a lot of the time don't want to do those kinds of jobs. Well, you know, if we then get rid of people that have come here, that have migrated here to work and to do these jobs, if we get rid of them, what's then going to happen? You know, the care sector's going to be on it. It's going to be below its knees. You know, it's not going to be on its knees. The knees are going to be gone. You know, the NHS is going to crumble. But I'm just tired of minority groups being scapegoated constantly and consistently by, you know, people that seem to just have an agenda, that just want them to be gone. They don't want them there. They don't want them around. They just quite happily discriminate. And I think they've been given a platform now to be hateful because they've got a voice, because they've got people in power now that are politicians, for example, that are spouting all this absolute nonsense and divisive rhetoric that is emboldening these people to just be openly hateful, openly racist, openly homophobic, openly transphobic, you know, discriminating against people's religions because that's how they feel that they can just get away with this, that, and the other. And I'm like, in what world is this acceptable? Is this okay? It's not. It's really not. And I'm just tired and tired and tired of minority groups being scapegoated. And that is all we've got time for on this episode, one of our Pride episodes for this month. We hope that you have enjoyed it. I know I've certainly enjoyed it. I'm hoping Josh has enjoyed it.
I have enjoyed it. I enjoyed my little rant.
You do. That is your favourite part of the show, to be fair, and I think it's a lot of other people's favourite part of the show because they just love hearing you just ramble and rant. But as we know, it's Pride season has started now. There's been a number of prides that have gone on. There's still going to be a number of prides that are going to be taking place this month. There's going to be some prides that are going to be taking place over the next 2 or 3 months. And we hope that if you are going to any pride events, that you go and enjoy it. Remember what its true meaning is. Go and enjoy it. Have fun. Most importantly of all, stay safe. Do not let the bigots, the ignorant people, the homophobes, the transphobes, do not let them get you down. Do not let them stop your fun. So, enjoy Pride. Happy Pride season. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay safe and be happy.